Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him?"
Taking place at this time. These events are directly related to the profound effect that the Nemesis system is having with the Earth's magnetic field, the magnetosphere that surrounds the planet. There is a turbulent circulation of immense electromagnetism and intense radiation that is being generated on a scale that can only be measured in astronomical terms. We know that the Nibiru object, which is the outermost planet in the Nemesis system, has been disturbing the Earth and the rest of the solar system for some time. It's evident in the changes that are happening. The waves of cosmic energy that Nibiru generates has gradually increased over time, flooding the Earth's magnetic field to the point where both the Sun and this system's magnetic field are directly opposing one another, where there are reverse polarities, in which Nibiru is spinning in a clockwise fashion as opposed to the Sun's counterclockwise rotation. So if you were to picture a cyclone, for instance, as shown here, you may be able to visualize Nibiru's clockwise rotating magnetic field. Nibiru's strongest magnetic winds are on its right-hand side, but since Nibiru is approaching the Earth from the left-hand side of the Sun, from our perspective, then the Earth will be encountering the strongest magnetic influence from Planet X, because we will be situated on the right-hand side of its core as it approaches the Earth. In addition to its magnetic influence on our planet, it will also slow down Earth's counterclockwise orbit around the Sun. This effect is already being felt as our seasons are becoming noticeably different in their duration. So the Earth will be hit by the strong right-hand side, which is the pushing side trying to pull us in the opposite direction of our natural rotation, while at the same time our Sun's opposing magnetism will largely prevent that from occurring. So the overall effect of the magnetic push is to slow us down more and more as the object gets closer. The whole purpose of displaying this computer-generated model is to show how this system, which includes a binary sun and 6 orbiting bodies that we know of, rotating clockwise around our Sun in a direction just opposite of our own system. So as Nibiru emerges from behind the Sun, its magnetic influence and its cosmic energy begins the process of affecting the Earth's magnetic shield, which in turn affects the magnetic core of the Earth, resulting in increased seismic and volcanic activity and extreme increased changes in our climate, resulting in chaotic weather-related events. The question that seems to have the scientific world perplexed is whether the Earth is entering a series of cataclysmic events. Here is something that each of you must know as we present some of the disastrous events that are now happening around the world. Since 1990, natural disasters have consistently increased and have affected more than 500 million people every year, and the numbers continue to increase. These statistics would fall into the category of apocalyptic. This is where things get a bit interesting. If you factor in the overall average of geological disasters in that time frame, then the numbers have remained fairly constant. If we then look at the number of climate-related disasters, you will see that the numbers have dramatically increased. When we refer to earth changes, it is the belief that the world will enter into a series of cataclysmic events that will cause major alterations with respect to the way in which humans will live and interact on this planet. Earth changes encompass a broad spectrum that often appears mind-boggling. They include everything that is shown here, in addition to other amazing and frightening phenomena. But they also include social, economical, and political systems which can create their own type of upheaval upon civilization. Here then are some of the most amazing events happening around the world that can be referred to as apocalyptic because of their potential to create catastrophic changes to our planet and to the civilized world. Flooding is having a profound effect on the world. Historic floods are wreaking havoc on the heartland of America as well as in Canada. The effects are absolutely devastating. This is how bad it has gotten.
Continues to swell. Now 27 feet above flood stage, it's damaged nearly 200 homes.
Rivers, creeks, and streams all above flood level from parts of Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana. The levees that protect the city have been breached.
All of that water is flowing into towns like Pocahontas. Watch as this cabin slams right into a bridge.
So we got like major emergency flash flooding in 5 states. I think we got rivers 10 feet past record levels and climbing. And because it is happening in rice, cake, and corn states like Missouri, Arkansas, Indiana, Oklahoma, Illinois, Louisiana, it ain't getting no press, and not many people care. A lot of people don't know.
Some of these places in the flood zones, we're starting to see levee breaches, numerous ones we had yesterday. They're looking at 10 plus inches of rain over the past 7 days. Over 100 river gauges have flooded along the Mississippi, Missouri, and Arkansas rivers.
A furious hailstorm engulfed the Denver metro area on May 8th, filling the streets with hail the size of golf balls within minutes. As of May 9th, 37 volcanoes are currently erupting around the world. The Sabancaya volcano, located in Peru, has been registering 41 explosions on a daily average. Seismicity related to the movements of internal fluids and the ascent of magma is also measured in the volcano. During the last eruption, a plume of ash reached 3,500 meters above the crater. On May 8th, a magnitude 6.4 earthquake, followed by a magnitude 5.2, hit near Tanaga volcano in the Aleutian Island chain of Alaska. Unrest continues in this region with more than 33 earthquakes, 9 of which have registered between 4.5 and 5.0. The volcano has not erupted since 1929. A short distance away near Adak Island, a swarm of earthquakes were felt, registering between 5.4 and 5.7. So something is happening in this remote volcanic area of the Aleutian Islands. We are nearly 2 months into the spring season, but you might have a hard time convincing the residents of San Diego County. A system reminiscent of a winter storm brought heavy snow to the mountains and valleys, breaking numerous weather records across the region. Is Antarctica melting more than previously thought? Apparently so, as scientists have discovered that water is gushing across the continent more than was ever realized. The researchers have found significant drainage of meltwater flowing across the continent's ice sheets during summer in Antarctica. Until now, these streams of water were mainly associated only with Antarctica's far north regions. Seen from an aircraft, a 400-foot wide waterfall drains off of the Nansen ice shelf into the ocean. The discovery of widespread streams across the continent is ominous news, indicating Antarctica's ice may be much more vulnerable to melting than scientists predicted. Free-flowing water, which absorbs solar energy more than ice, puts nearby ice at greater risk of melting. There is increasing consensus that the power grids of the world are breaking down, due in large part to a weakening magnetosphere and plasma electrification. The government explanation for the destabilized grids and satellite disruptions is directed towards hackers and planned exercises, thus keeping the media from identifying the actual cause, which falls squarely on abnormal solar activity, leading to a collapsing magnetosphere and a weakened magnetic field. During a recent geomagnetic storm, a never-before-witnessed auroral display was photographed. This was a plasma filament. When mentioning plasma filament, it goes straight to the legends of dragons in the sky and gods in the heavens. If you cross two of these streams, then incredibly a dragon would appear, as shown in this amazing charged sky. The real reason for increasing power outages is the breakdown of our protective shield, and from this point forward, it will intensify as we witness more power outages as the magnetic shield continues to collapse. Earlier in this video, I mentioned how social, economical, and political systems can play a major role in the changes that happen to our planet. Whether for the betterment of civilization or for self-serving purposes, these developments can have a profound effect on the future of our planet. A perfect example of what I am referring to involves the government's irresponsible intention of drilling in our national parks. At this moment, there are 42 parks at risk. It is no secret that oil and gas companies are looking for new places to drill. But if the regulations that protect these parks from exploitation is overturned by those in Washington, then some of America's most pristine and ecologically sensitive areas will be at risk of oil spills, ground contamination, and explosions. This is a map of the 30 national parks where drilling could happen next. Any new drilling for oil and gas involves the disruption of habitats and the polluting of what little of America's untouched wilderness is left. This is but one example of how our interference with nature is contributing to the destabilization of the earth, the depletion of life's resources, and the eventual collapse of human civilization. There is something that is raising alarm bells with the world's scientists, and that has to do with the massive cracks that are developing among the Earth's ice caps and glaciers. I have spoken extensively on this disturbing story, but there is now a new and gigantic unusual crack in one of the biggest glaciers located in Greenland, which could contribute to a dramatic break in the near future. Satellite images of the Petermann Glacier show an unexpected crack in its floating ice shelf. The Petermann Glacier is one of the most important outlets by which the Greenland ice sheet extends and flows into the sea. These changes are terrifying, as Petermann Glacier holds back about a foot of potential sea level rise from the Greenland ice sheet. According to researchers, the ice shelf is slowly but surely falling apart. It has been stable for over 100 years, then started to break up, especially in the years from 2010 to 2012, and much faster between 2014 and 2015. Here is a time-lapse video of the changes taking place on the Petermann Glacier between 1984 and 2016. Researchers have stated that it is unusual to see cracks forming from the center. They usually start from the sides. This could indicate that the ice shelf has gotten too thin in the middle, thus placing greater stress on the ice shelf. It is very possible that the summer of 2017 could result in dramatic changes happening at the Petermann Glacier.
NASA scientist reveals 2017 pole shift dates. It has been scientifically proven that the Earth undergoes a full geomagnetic reversal, or pole shift, around every 780,000 years. These reversals are usually slow, occurring gradually over long spans of time. However, at the start of the 20th century that historical pattern appears to have been radically altered. All the nations that track this easily monitored data have validated each other's scientific observations and data sets. Even NOAA has presented hard data which substantiates this ongoing geomagnetic shift. Hence, there is no mistaking the now generally accepted fact that the magnetic poles of the Earth are not only shifting in real time, but that they are moving very quickly. This phenomenon applies to both the North and the South poles. The following diagram shows the precise movements as they are transpiring at the respective poles. Former NASA scientist Dr. Salvatore Conti delineates the coming geomagnetic pole shift. The following video is quite remarkable for many reasons. It represents the first time that an authoritative account of the coming magnetic pole shift has been provided by a scientist who has been given access to highly privileged information and impressive data collection. In fact, the only way that former NASA scientist Dr. Salvatore Conti could have elaborated such complex information was by having been the insider that he was. The following video is less than 1/2 hour long, but only a few minutes of viewing will be necessary to receive the most relevant details. Those revelations begin at the 13-minute mark and continue until about our planet is going to go through a process we call a chill magnetic reversal, but a rare kind that happens very quickly, and its most intense drifting will take place between September 25 and October 19, 2017. Now, a chill magnetic reversal does not mean the planet is going to flip over, and everything is going to shift and shake violently in apocalyptic devastation. The planet has actually gone through a geomagnetic reversals many times. Most of these happen very slowly over many years. But we are certain that they do happen every few 100,000 years by looking at fossil records, which show changes in the magnetic orientation of rocks. So what are geomagnetic reversals? Put as simply as possible, our planet's core is made of a giant, superheated solid metal ball covered with liquid metal. As both move and flow inside our planet, and the Earth turns, this combination creates the dynamo effect, which in turn creates the magnetic field around the planet. In a geomagnetic reversal, changes at the core make the magnetic field unstable at first and then cause it to drift, and to finally re-establish itself with the poles in opposite positions from where they were when the reversal started. Now, the continents and oceans are still going to be events which are related to the 2017 event. Like all these weather changes, and seismological activity, the magnetic North Pole is migrating fast toward northern Russia. 1729. The fact is that the rate of polar migration for this next reversal will increase exponentially to a peak during the summer of 2017 when, according to 4.72 degrees. That's almost 70% of the total reversal in a little more than 2 months. Something that usually takes hundreds to thousands of years. This event will be like one that's been proven from analysis of the lava salts on Steens Mountain in Oregon. 15 million years ago a reversal took place in which the rate of change was as fast as 6 degrees per day. That's over 3 times faster than the average drift of less than 2 degrees per day, expected for September through October 2017. But this rate of change is fixed for the 66 days. The days in the middle of the period should be the ones with the fastest change. 1835. And here's the rub. What the Alphys are determining and making us know is that in 2017 the quick change in polarity will make the Van Allen radiation belt to drop to Earth. What does that mean? Well, the Van Allen belt is actually made up of 2 enormous clouds of highly charged particles that exist around our planet, and which are held in our planet's magnetosphere by the magnetic field. When the magnetic field becomes unstable due to the quick flip of its poles, the Van Allen belt will collapse and its particles will pretty much bombard the Earth with a lot of radiation. Based on what our alien friends will be devastating. Most land-based plant and animals, and those living near the surface of the sea will be killed, including an expected 75 to 80% human mortality rate. Those who do survive will be affected in ways we can only theorize, not just physically, but physiologically and genetically. There is no question that the Earth's magnetic poles are moving more rapidly than they have been observed at any point in human history. Given the significant uptick in Earth movements, particularly volcanic eruptions, major earthquakes, methane releases and massive sinkholes, as well as the intensification of global climate change, the evidence is now quite compelling that there are other sources of Earth changes: intensification of solar activity, influx of cosmic rays, alteration in the movement, temperature of the Earth's core, etc. There is no stopping the ongoing geomagnetic pole shift, nor is there any slowing it down. The only remaining questions are: when will it reach peak intensity, and how will such a drastic movement in degrees affect the magnetosphere? The magnetosphere is well known for providing a blanket of protection around the Earth, without which the planet would be practically uninhabitable. Most importantly, it must be determined whether there is any truth to Dr. Conti's assertions about the potential collapse of the Van Allen belt, full or partial, and what that would mean for the biosphere and for humanity. New shocking evidence points to pole shift. Is a reversal of the Earth's magnetic poles taking place? Volcanoes, earthquakes, strange noises from the sea. New shocking evidence points to a pole shift which, if it happens fast, will cause chaos around the world. A pole reversal, when the Earth's north and south magnetic poles start to swap places, reversing the world's magnetic polarity, has happened before. Scientists who track the history of the planet have identified 74 of these events by studying core samples. These are extracted from hundreds or thousands of feet down in the ground and in the thick polar ice. A sudden shift would throw the Earth's balance out so significantly it could trigger lethal earthquakes, tsunami on a scale we can hardly imagine, capable of washing right across the United States and every other major landmass, volcanic eruptions so large and widespread that the resulting ash clouds and gases could blanket the sun's rays and trigger a new sudden ice age. Scientists look for evidence of previous Armageddon-style destruction by identifying chaotic sediments where narrow layers of earth, rock and ice record oddball events in the Earth's history in the form of bands of mud and tiny magnetically charged fragments. To scientists, these are clear indicators of sudden floods, ice melt or ash deposits. When this is found outside a long period of the cycle of freezing and melting in the Earth's history, it is an indicator of a pole shift. Pole shifts because a major increase in the movement of the tectonic plates, the giant lines of opposing cracks in the Earth's crust which push and grind against each other until they periodically release like a balled fist in a closed palm flicking upwards. There are now signs amongst the sharp increase in natural disasters and other strange, apparently unrelated incidents which point towards a possible reversal. It is widely recognized that magnetic north, that point at the top of the globe which compasses and devices which depend on magnetic navigation rely, is shifting increasingly quickly towards Russia from its current position above Greenland and nearer to Canada. It has moved 400 kilometers in the last decade and is accelerating. Our Sun swaps its north and south pole every 11–13 years and has just done so. The effect on the Sun is to stimulate the number and intensity of solar storms which can have a major effect on the Earth. They can interfere with TV transmissions and power supplies. Other signs which might indicate the effects of a magnetic reversal between magnetic north and south are an unprecedented 7 volcanoes which have started to erupt around the world in the last few days, and a major spike of 7.0 magnitude plus earthquakes, almost all of which I have witnessed.